Hello everybody, welcome to Wine World TV, the best wine show anywhere. I'm your host, Mark Fusco. Before we get started, make sure you're smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel. Every like and subscription helps build the channel. Even better, spread the word to your friends about the best wine show anywhere. Okay, I'm back. Reviewing wines, that is. I've been on a long hiatus from reviewing wines, or at least reviewing sample wines. I'm trying to take care of my backlog. With that said, I'm using a bit of LIFO instead. What is LIFO? Well, that's last in, first out. Normally I try to follow FIFO in my reviews, in my videos. So reviews, interviews, special events. That's first in, first out. So whatever order I get sample wines for review, I put them out in that order. Kind of. The same with interviews and special events. Kind of. Occasionally I'll insert episodes when necessary. So with the next 4 episodes, I decided to get to them first. The other 20 or so wines I've had for over a year can wait another month or 2 or whatever at this point. Think of it like those, you see those reviews of products where someone's been using it for several months. It's kind of like the 6 months later. Well, instead of doing something like that, instead of like the explosion of videos where the latest and greatest tech product came out on the same day and everybody puts out a review, well, that 6 months later review sets your thing apart.
What in the hell?
Okay, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. All right, so yeah, it's not like I've been tasting the wines for 6 months. They've been sealed the whole time. Okay, enough of that. What's the wine? Well, this week's and next week's, this week's wine, and then in 2 weeks. So first of all, if you haven't already noticed, things are coming out every 2 weeks. It's going to be that way. It should be for the rest of the year, unless something comes along that I need to put out in between episodes. And this is to help me with my studies. I plan to take my advanced exam in 2027, which I mentioned at the beginning of the year. If I do take it in 26, fine. But I want to make sure that I'm not trying to do these things on a regular basis and worrying more about recording and editing. And I can just concentrate on studying and record a bunch of wines all within a couple week period of time and just get as many edits as possible and then just study so I can be prepared. Anyway, so that's what's going on. So every couple weeks, and because of the backlog of wines I have, this is going to last me till the end of the year, maybe even to next year with what I already have, in addition to anything else I get later on. So that's what's going on. Anyway, so this wine and the next episode's wines, they are from the iconic winery Luigi Bosca out of Argentina. All right, so it sounds like Italian wine, right? And I was about to delve into a bit of the connection between Italy and Argentina until I found out that there are no Italian roots to this wine. Kind of. For years, I just assumed it was an Italian immigrant that started the winery, and boy, was I wrong. Now, before I go too far, note that today's wine is a free sample, and I have free reign to review it however I want. Okay, got that out of the way. The history of the winery actually originates in Spain, but also Piemonte, Italy. The details are very slim about all of this. Let's go over what I have so far. 7-year-old Leoncio Arisu emigrates with his, I made it sound like Italian too, with his family from the small town of Unzué in the Spanish Basque Country in 1890. I probably butchered the name of that town. Anyway, they settle in Mendoza, Argentina. In 1901, Leoncio founds the winery. That winery's name is Leoncio Arisu S.A. I don't know what S.A. means. I've got to probably look that up. So around the same time, we have the Bosca family. Now, I think they also had their own winery or were interested in creating a winery. I don't know. All I can find is that the Bosca family and Leoncio, quote, decide to join forces, or decide to join efforts, and founded what we know as Bodega Luigi Bosca. Now, who is Luigi? Well, that's a mystery. One source says that he was, quote, a family relative and that their international wines were named after him, though that source implies that Luigi was a Spanish relative of Leoncio rather than from Piemonte with the Boscas. The winery's website states that Leoncio was a fourth-generation winemaker and that his family was a pioneer in quality winemaking in Europe. It also states that Lujan de Cucho reminds him of his native homeland and begins planting European vines. Through other sites, I find out that this was not the norm at the time as far as planting European vines. When the Spanish arrived in the Americas, they did bring European grapevines for the purpose of making wine. Over time, these became their own class of grapes known as Criolla. They are not replantings of European vines, but vines that evolved natively in South America. In the mid-1800s, there was a rise of European grapes being cultivated, and Leoncio continued that. After the founding of the winery, Luigi Bosca continues to grow, innovate, and improve and conduct research. They become one of the best-known wineries in Argentina, and they are definitely well respected within the SOM community. They are also instrumental in the creation of the first CDO, or Controlled Denomination of Origin, in Argentina, and that would be Lujan de Cucho. In Argentina, CDO is known as DOC, or Denominaciones de Origen Controladas. That's basically the same as what you find in Spain. And over 120 years later, they are still owned by the Aristu family, with the fourth generation, Alberto Aristu Jr., leading the company. I'll also mention that their current winemaker is Pablo Cuneo. Let's talk farming practices. One source mentioned they did biodynamics. The winery's website does have a whole section about sustainability, but no mention of biodynamics. So while they may do some bio stuff, they don't have any certifications. Another section of the website does talk about a, quote, holistic vision that kind of alludes to biodynamics. They do have 5 other certifications mentioned on their sustainability page. Those are Food Safety Management, or the ISO 22000, Environmental Management, or the ISO 14001, Vegan, Sustainable, and Organic. The first 2 are international certifications, while the last 3 are specific to Argentina. I mean, it's not an international certification per se. What this tells me is that they are serious about protecting the land and also being a good company overall. I have links to all the certs below, and make sure to check out their sustainability page to get more info. Now, with all that said, neither sample bottle I received have any certifications on the labels. That doesn't necessarily mean that these wines don't follow any of the practices, just that they don't meet the requirements for labeling for them in the United States. Today's wine is their Insignia Series Chardonnay. This is coming from the Uco Valley, or the Valle de Uco. It is a very large region south of Mendoza. Many high-quality wines come from the area. There are no specific vineyards mentioned for this wine, which is totally fine. I have links to everything below to go deeper into everything twice, right? And the links will be the same for both this episode and the next episode about their Malbec. As far as more info on the wine, I got nothing else than the stats. So without further ado, let's get the stats for this wine. The 2023 Bodega Luigi Bosca Insignia Chardonnay, retail price $21.99. From Argentina, the Uco Valley in Mendoza. 100% Chardonnay, elevation 900 to 1200 meters, or 2,953 to 3,937 feet. Vine age, average of 20 years. Manual harvest, bunch selection, whole bunch pressed. Aging partially in French oak for 6 months, the rest is stainless steel. ABV is 13.6%. The pH is 3.25. The residual sugar is 1.86 grams per liter, and the acidity is 6.3 grams per liter. I wasn't provided with a suggested retail price for the wine, so I used wine.com's price for the 2023 vintage. Also, the tech sheet I found on the importer's website isn't vintage specific. The 2023 should be the most current vintage, so these stats are hopefully for that vintage. Much of what's on there probably doesn't change much from year to year, but the final stats of ABV, pH, etc. probably change with each year, within, small amounts. With that said, the ABV does match what's on the label. We also don't know percentages in oak versus stainless, nor the age of the barrels, new, second use, third use, whatever, and neutral, so we don't know all that. Anyway, let's get into the wine. All right, funny story. Make sure I get the right one. I thought I was doing this wine for the very first video I was doing, and I was doing the wine that you're going to see in 4 weeks, a California Chardonnay. And as I'm tasting it, I'm like, this is good, blah, 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 blah. And like in my head, I'm like, this doesn't taste like the stats. Like I'm getting like actual oak. Not significant, but like oak stuff. And what do you know? Yep, it was wrong. Luckily, I didn't go through the whole review, but I'd already tasted it and everything. So you'll see that you'll see that coming up. I mean, the big thing should have been like when I grabbed the bottle, the label's facing me, and it had the wine of that label, or had the other winery, and it didn't register that I just talked about Luigi Bosca, and yet, yeah. Anyway, I say this all the time when there's lots of wind and noise going on outside. You might hear some wind going around, though the noise reduction I use is really, really good, but it's super windy right now. And I'm recording during the day. All right, let's check out the color. Man, I put a lot of little bubbles going on in here from the Corvin. I mean, that happens, but it just seems like a little bit more than normal. Good medium yellow color. Touch of gold to it. A little bit of hue of green. That's pretty typical of Chardonnay. Clean sound. Yeah. All right, this is more like pure fruit, whereas the other one had some other things going on that led me to be like, this is not Argentina, this is California. And it was, what do you know? So I get apples more than anything else. A touch of green apple, a little bit of yellow apple, a little bit of red apple, all the colors. I guess green apple is probably the most prominent, but it's like almost like a third of having all three at the same time. No, I don't know the varieties of the apples. Just go with me on just the colors. A little bit of, just wet rock. And that's really it. I mean, the apples smell ripe. Not overly ripe, but ripe. But it's actually kind of neutral. All right, let's check it out. Okay. Apples for days. Apples. Pretty bright. The acidity, not super high. What was it? 6.3, pH 3.25. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of intense though. It's more, I'm not trying to compare it to the other Chardonnay that you're going to see eventually, but this one is more linear. Okay. Oh, I get kind of more of that green apple like candy, like Jolly Rancher. I got a little bit of Jolly Rancher, but not sweet, but like the flavor of the Jolly Rancher, and kind of almost like that texture too. Yeah, this is coming across more of a, I wouldn't call it specifically Chablis style, but definitely in that crisper, more green apple-y type of thing going on. I don't really get anything else. Wet rock. Touch of orange to it. Orange blossom. But it's kind of like that orange, like kind of a sharper, almost a sour orange. Really, it's almost kind of like, those orange candies, but it's not sweet. Remember, it's not sweet. I just get the flavor of the orange, right? There's a little bit of texture to it. This is kind of really my style of Chardonnay. When I compliment a Chardonnay, which I'm complimenting this one as of right now, this is a good Chardonnay. That takes a lot, because Chardonnay is not my favorite grape. I don't hate it by any means. I mean, I enjoy good Chardonnay. Don't get me wrong, but I tend to reach for other things, and I've said this a billion times on the show and to people in person. But when I have a Chardonnay like this is one that I want to drink, like absolutely. And it's like 20-something bucks, like 22, 23 bucks. I mean, it's good. It's well priced. I'll put it that way. $22. Yeah. So just a really, really good, well made, nothing crazy. It's not life changing or anything like that. It's solid. Really good. If you like Chardonnay, especially if you don't want the oaky, buttery stuff, which is not what this is at all. Yes, it did live in a little bit of oak, but my feeling is it's probably neutral barrels, because it's not really imparting a lot of oak to it. I mean, there might be a touch of vanilla and baking spice, but it's like negligible. It's really more about smoothing things out. It did probably went through a little bit of malolactic, but for the most part, it's really bright and fresh and tasty. Cool. I say if you can find this wine, buy it. All right. That's going to do it for today's show. If you enjoy what I'm doing here, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and then tell your friends, and we'll see you next time.